Alrighty guys, October 3rd, Coca-Cola Arena in Dubai, PFL World Championship Series. We got the highly anticipated rematch between Paul Hughes and Usman Nurmagomedov. Okay, and this whole main card is packed with incredible matchups. So let's break it down from bottom to top as always. Okay, so for our first fight in the main card, we have a last minute replacement. So it's gonna be fought at 160 pounds. We have Jack Cartwright versus Caolan Loughran. Okay, so Jack Cartwright is the last minute replacement to Magomedov, which is a matchup that I was looking forward to. However, Magomedov pulled out. Now we got Cartwright versus Loughran. Cartwright, I believe he last fought about a year ago. And he fought in a fight where I thought he lost. Now, he didn't get dominated, he didn't get destroyed, but I just simply thought that it was a grueling war of attrition, a lot of scrambling, a lot of striking, a lot of go. So he has that going for him. What I found neat here from Jack Cartwright, like I mentioned, he had this go mentality, and at all points, at all times in his last matchup, he was going for it. So if he was striking, man, he was trying to set you up, he was trying to knock out the opponent. And if he tied up with you, scrambles. He was going for submissions. If the opponent scrambled and gave him even an inch, he was snatching the neck, threatening from all positions. He was threatening the limbs, he was threatening the neck. I mean, this guy stays busy. Caolan Loughran, on the other hand, a UFC veteran. He just recently got cut from the roster, but I think he did a smart move in joining the PFL because there's definitely a lot of fun matchups and even a possibility of joining the World Tournament next year. Now, Loughran at 155 pounds is a juggernaut of a fighter. I think what holds him back is that he's very flat-footed, slowly but surely marches forward, no head movement, no nothing. But the guy can take punishment, so he's able to do that. He's able to march you down despite you trying to jab him to death and moving left to right. The guy's gonna stay consistent and he's gonna stay in your face. What I see happening here is exactly what I just described. I see Cartwright needing to do a lot of circling around, no lateral movements, which he tends to pull back a lot. It's not gonna be good if Loughran starts unleashing on him. But Cartwright's gonna have to move around a lot while Loughran chases after him. I am kind of worried for Loughran here because I see him trying to headhunt Cartwright, and Cartwright does tend to move around a lot. Like I mentioned, he does jab, he pops his jab, he'll pop a 1-2, and I kind of feel that even though he's a last minute replacement, he can pull this off. He's going to be able to move around a lot, and anything that Loughran tries to present, like I said, Cartwright stays busy. I think Cartwright can definitely pull this off. When it comes down to punches, they're going to come in bunches, and if Loughran catches him against the cage and shoots his double and takes him down, which I think will happen, Cartwright scrambles way too much. I see him being able to pop up again and get back on his feet. I see him being able to outpoint and outstrike Loughran. Cartwright's gonna take this one by decision. Okay, next fight. We stay at 155. So we stay at the lightweights, and we have a fascinating matchup here. We have the American wrestler Colgan versus the Madman Wilson, JJ Wilson. Now, Archie Colgan, he kind of reminds me of a Daniel Cormier. Very powerful with his wrestling. Obviously, that is his background. Has explosive 1-2s, crazy power in his hands, but I feel like he's lacking in his conditioning. In his last outing against Barnayu, I feel that Barnayu was able to trap him as the rounds went on and cardio started becoming an issue. He was able to clinch him up in a tie plum and just knee him and strike him and elbow him. Now, although Colgan eventually won decisively, but I saw him tire out. And that's something you can't really afford when you're fighting somebody like JJ Wilson. A guy who's not polished by any means anywhere, but he's a gamer. The guy comes forward, he'll front teep you, he'll throw his 1-2s, and when it comes down to the wrestling, which Colgan will get it down and they will wrestle, he's not someone to just sit there and let you take over the fight and grapple him out. What I'm seeing here is JJ Wilson being able to weather the storm in the first round. Come second and third round, I feel that he can take over. Again, Colgan showed signs of fatigue. I mean, this guy tired out. Although he didn't quit, but he slowed down. And I just see JJ Wilson being able to detect that moment and putting the pressure on Colgan. JJ Wilson will eventually march forward. He's pretty much going to walk him down the way he did to Mads Burnell. And Colgan's wrestling can probably even slow down the pace of Wilson in the later rounds, but Wilson will scramble out and he's going to make it hell for Colgan. Wilson's going to win this one by decision. Okay, third fight of the main event. We go down to the bantamweights and we have an interesting matchup here. Magomedov versus Sergio Pettis. Magomedov. I think this guy has what it takes to become champion. Now, he's dropped the ball a couple of times when he had his opportunity, but I've never really seen this guy get dominated or destroyed. He's always game. He's always going to present problems everywhere. Watching his last fight against a dangerous and very promising prospect, Magomedov, he was not intimidated by this young man. He met him in the middle and matched him strike for strike, grapple for grapple. And I feel like he did very, very well. Granted, his striking is not clean, but it's enough to keep people busy. And I think that's what's going to give Sergio Pettis, his opponent, a lot of problems in this fight. Quite opposite to what I think of Magomed. I think Sergio Pettis, of course, the Pettis brothers, they're well known for their clean kickboxing. Definitely very creative strikers, both of them. But we're going to stick to Sergio Pettis here. Sergio is a sniper. I love watching him strike. All his fundamentals are very sound. However, I feel like he waits too much. I feel that Sergio Pettis is more of a counter striker. He waits for you a little too much. And if you're waiting there against someone like Magomedov, it's not going to work out for you. And we also saw in his last fight against one of his previous team members, Loughran Stotts, Loughran was able to take him down and control him easily. Sergio pretty much just sat there in his guard, but didn't really do much. And Stotts as well didn't do much either. But Magomedov, if he takes Sergio down, which he will, he's not going to just sit on your guard. He's going to work Sergio Pettis. That's exactly how I see this fight happening. Magomed's going to go in there. He's going to make it a little chaotic. He's going to get the takedown. He's going to secure takedowns, plural. And he's going to control Sergio Pettis. Will he finish Sergio Pettis? I'm not too sure. I kind of want to lean more to no, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's able to snatch up a submission here over Sergio Pettis. Regardless, Magomedov takes the victory. On to our co-main event. We go to the light heavyweight division, and we got two incredible fighters here, and this is a rematch. We got Corey Anderson versus Dovlet Yagshimuradov. Corey Anderson, this guy somehow is getting it done, And every time I feel that they match him up against somebody that he's gonna get smoked by, he levels up, he steps it up, and not just wins, but he fucking just destroys people. Take his last fight, for example. Goltsov, a heavyweight. We're talking about Corey Anderson, a guy who can fight at 185s, went up to 205s, had a decent career in Bellator, became their champion, came over to PFL, and went up to heavyweights against Goltsov, an actual winner of the PFL World Tournament. I figured when I heard that matchup, this is terrible for Corey Anderson. I feel like he accepted that fight just to get into the PFL, just to get in there. And boy, I'm never doubting that guy again. He just went in there and ragdolled a heavyweight. Not just ragdolled him with the wrestling and ground and pounded him until the ref stopped it. But one thing I like about Corey Anderson is his stand-up. It's very sound. He sticks to the basics, and he does a lot of head movement. He's never on center, he's never sitting center. He's always bobbing and weaving, giving his opponent numerous angles to work with. Now, granted, I know people are going to laugh at that because he's had his knockout losses in the UFC and whatnot, but the guy does a very good job of moving forward, bobbing and weaving, almost a Randy Couture style. And then the second an opening is there, he's going to blast his double, and good luck from there for his opponents. Dovlet Yagshimuradov, the winner of last year's tournament. This guy has come a long way since his loss, his TKO loss to Corey Anderson. I think Yagshimuradov's best weapons is actually his striking. He's a decent wrestler, but I think he's become very, very explosive, very dangerous with the striking. Hence, look what he did to Impa Kasangane. When you have that confidence in being able to stuff takedowns, or if you get taken down, to scramble out of them, it makes you a more dangerous striker because you can sit there and plant your feet with confidence. And I think that's Yagshimuradov's mentality. Although he has improved and has done many great things, Yagshimuradov, he has not evolved enough. And I think this fight's just going to repeat itself from the first one. Corey Anderson's going to be able to go in there. He's going to be able to mix it up as best as he can. He's going to blast for that takedown, and it's going to be the same thing all over again. I see him taking I see Corey Anderson taking Yagshimuradov down and eventually working him so much, he's going to start landing that crazy ground and pound that he has, and he's going to stop Dovlet Yagshimuradov in the later round.
Catch me on the downslide, I'll be heading up.
All right, main event time. We got the highly anticipated rematch. A lightweight championship belt is on the line again, and we got Usman Nurmagomedov versus Paul Hughes. There's just so much to talk about here. Let's get this out of the way. Their first matchup is a classic. Go look it up. It was just an amazing fight of the year contender, in my opinion. And there was a lot of respect. Unlike previous other relationships between Dagestani fighters and Irish fighters, there was a lot of respect initially and after the fight. But soon after everything was said and done, the Dagestani camp, Usman Nurmagomedov, they kind of got on their high horse. They didn't want to give Paul Hughes an immediate rematch. I can see why. And Paul Hughes actually had to get one in before he can get to where he's at now. Some might see it as a mental warfare. That was like a mental kind of attack on Paul Hughes to kind of derail his focus, or at least that's how I see it. But Paul Hughes is determined, you guys. This guy is on a mission, and he's not gonna stop until he becomes champion. So let's get a few things out of the way. Paul Hughes' last fight, he had to fight Miranda, and he put Miranda away with his beautiful clean boxing in about 42 seconds. Nothing else Usman can say about, hey, you need one or two more matchups. No. Paul Hughes went out there, did what you asked him to get one in and prove himself yet again. And Paul Hughes' striking never fails. Now, Usman has been sitting comfortably since their initial fight. So all we can really go by is his fight with Paul Hughes. And what did I see in that fight? I saw a man that did win. Usman Nurmagomedov did win that fight. But it's strange because it's one of the few fights where, going on to the second, third, fourth, and especially those championship rounds, I felt like he was on. Although he was winning, I felt he was the one on survival mode. There's something that I've been noticing a lot from the Dagestani camp, and that's if you make it tough for them to get a takedown, you will see a shift, a change in their demeanor during the fight. One that's not so. It's almost like they start doubting themselves. You can kind of see it, you can feel it as the fight is happening. So what needs to happen here? I think Paul Hughes needs to do more of the same. Rip to the body, make it ugly, and stuff the first couple rounds worth of takedowns. Demoralize Usman Nurmagomedov from thinking that his wrestling is gonna secure him this win. In all reality, Usman uses his kicks. That's what I love about Usman. He uses his kicks as jabs. He's very swift, he's very light, they come fast, and they're powerful. But because of that reason, his takedowns don't come as his fellow counterparts. The Khabib Nurmagomedovs, the Islams, and whatnot. So there's definitely a change. You can see when he's going to go for the takedown because he has to readjust his stance. And I think Paul Hughes, that's what he detects. And he was able to stuff and demoralize Usman, which eventually opened up Paul Hughes striking. He ripped to the body. I mean, it was beautiful. Usman Nurmagomedov did not know what to do once they started clinching up against the cage. Usman was completely lost, and he was visibly getting hurt. Every time Paul Hughes was landing, you could tell Usman was hurting. But that championship heart, right? Regardless of what his body language was telling us, he never gave up. And eventually he secured takedowns, controlled the bit. But again, I must emphasize, you could tell he was sweating bullets. While Paul Hughes, on the other hand, was bleeding, smiling. You could tell that guy was having the time of his life. And I personally think that's the difference in this fight. I think Paul Hughes is going in with some incredible confidence, while Usman, he can say what he wants, but he knows what he went through. And in that first fight, is he willing to do it again? Of course, he signed on the dotted line, they're fighting again. But I think Paul Hughes, with just some small little adjustments, can pull this off. And not only can he pull it off, I personally think he can stop Usman Nurmagomedov. Call me crazy, but I think that's what's going to happen. I think the fight's going to get dragged into the championship rounds again. And this time, Paul Hughes is going to stop Usman Nurmagomedov and become the new lightweight champion of the PFL.